Hello everyone and welcome back to Bighorn Woodworks. My name is Paul and today the video will be about me making this segmented bowl. It's maple, actually maple found on the property that I have up north, a little bit of bloodwood and a laminated birch veneer plywood, I don't know what the heck you call it. And it's got all these different colors and size and laminations in it. Actually I'm a little disappointed that the color doesn't go all the way on through on some of these. Wasn't sure what to expect. It's really the first time I've ever worked with this kind of stuff. I got it as a gift. Thought I wanted to try and make something neat out of it. I mean, it turned out pretty cool, but I think if I ever do something like this in the future, I'd probably want to do my own dyeing, my own lamination, just so I can make sure I get consistent color throughout the whole thing. But anyway, so here's the video.
I started with this piece of maple that had a fairly decent sized crack running through the middle. Originally, I was just going to use the colored birch laminate, but it wasn't wide enough to allow me full use of the length and block. I had a long piece of bloodwood from another project that had already been planed flat, and stacking one on each side gave me the width that I was looking for. Once I've determined how much of the maple I needed to cut away, I took it over to my table saw and made 2 cuts. It wasn't perfectly square, so I used a couple of shims to make up the gap and allow me to make a parallel cut. Unfortunately, the blade didn't quite cut deep enough, so I took it over to the bandsaw to make the remaining cut through the block. Next, I took it over to the planer and evened off the edges with a few passes. I got ready to glue the pieces together. This is a fairly simple glue up. I don't need things to be perfect, just aligned enough so that I can work with it. I apply glue to all the pieces, making sure to spread it evenly over every surface. Even clamping pressure across the width will squeeze out any bubbles in the glue. After drying overnight and removing it from the clamps, I took it over to the joiner for a couple of passes. This wasn't necessary, but it did straighten things out for me a little bit. A little jig to make a perfect circle, and it's back over to the bandsaw. Here I'll cut away as close to the line as possible so I don't have too much vibration at the lathe when I start cutting it. I'll start with my worm screw and thread it on the chuck. One trick I found when trying to get a piece balanced and remove any wobble from threading it lopsided is to take a piece of wood that has been turned to fit the live center on one side and flat on the other. Placing it in the tailstock and slowly applying pressure will cause the piece to self-correct as it slides against the smooth block on the tailstock. At that point, you can remove the block and slide the tail right up to the bowl blank. I begin with the large Easy Wood roughing tool to true up the sides and face. I'll also use this to start shaping the outside of the bowl and eventually creating a tenon for my Nova chuck. After turning the piece around, I start the inside of the bowl, again using the Easy Wood roughing tool. This allows me to quickly and easily stair-step my way down to the final depth of the bowl. Once I'm happy with the depth, I switch over to the EasyWood finisher to smooth out the cut lines left by the rougher. Originally, I had intended for both inside and outside to have a similar contour, but as I was stair-stepping, I found that I liked the look of this single edge that broke up the pattern in the segmented pieces. I ended up leaving it in, and I love the way it looks. You'll see it at the end. Sanding the inside of the bowl with this Robert Sorby sanding system makes it easy to climb all the way up the grits to 600. The finish I'm using is a mix of beeswax, butcher block oil, and shellac. Rub on a generous coat and allow it to seep into the wood before turning on the lathe to heat the wax and help give the finish a relaxed luster. Last, I will mount the bowl into the large coal jaws to remove the tenon, sand, and finish the bottom of the bowl. I protected the inside with a few layers of blue painter's tape. It's always a good idea to keep your tailstock on the piece until the last moment. These jaws won't hold the work secure enough to apply a lot of pressure, and you might just find the piece flying off into your face. The face shield is a little insurance in case it does actually come loose. Alright, I'll sign and date the work before the last bit of finish, and there you have it. I love the way this turned out, and the little edge gives it a nice break up on the gently sloping side.
Well, thanks for watching, everyone. That's my video on this shallow bowl. Maple, I actually found the maple. It was a fallen tree that was up in the woods, northern Wisconsin. Recovered that, brought it home. I've got several pieces that I got out of this. I'll be doing a lot more. Actually, I've got some that I've already done as well. Just haven't really talked about the fact that I got this. It was a beautiful tree. Windstorm came around, toppled over a bunch of them. Harvested some maple out of there. Decided I want to make it in some bowls. So it's actually been drying in my shop for about 4, maybe even 5, probably about 5 years now. So, and then the rest is bloodwood, and then the laminated birch. So I'll be taking that one to Art in the Park. That reminds me, September 15th, if you're in the central Wisconsin area, down in Stevens Point, Piffner Park, I'll be going to Art in the Park. It's my first Art in the Park that I'm doing. I'm very excited to be able to be there. If you're in the area, again, it's September 15th. Stevens Point, Wisconsin, if you're in the central Wisconsin area. Also, if this is your first time here, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Also, follow me on Instagram, Bighorn Woodworks. You'll see me there trying to post stuff every single day. Thanks. See you later.